they're completely ineffectual on this NIL front right now. I mean, completely ineffectual. We're seeing Greg Sankey at the SEC Media Week. He kicked it off by basically saying, "Hey, Congress, you got to step in."
Congress.
And,
I mean,
and then it seemed like 3 different groups of senators and
but it's a clown
represent.
show.
That's what I'm saying. So,
you have Tommy Tuberville, the former Auburn and Ole Miss head coach, is talking about now that the legislation was bipartisan. I think with Joe Manchin from West Virginia, where they were going to they had their own kind of viewpoints on this, but it was also you'd have to be 3 years at the school. Tommy Tuberville actually wasn't at Texas Tech for 3 full years. He bailed on Texas Tech's football program in the middle of an actual recruiting dinner. Like in the middle of the dinner, he bolted to go jump at the job at Cincinnati. He was not even there for 3 full years. So again, for anybody to say, "Oh, Congress, help us out." I mean, really, we need, we're going to go to people who are, as dysfunctional as you can get. I mean, that's the lifeline we're looking for.
That's what I was saying here, that it makes no sense. To me, the thing that makes complete sense is for the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12, and then name 2 other, if you will, power conferences, and we'll get to the Pac-12 in a second here, and come up with a group of institutions that have, remotely similar issues and questions about NIL, and then maybe underneath the construct of the college football playoff system, create a new super league where NIL is handled in a manner that is commensurate to the players' needs and rights, and also for schools that offer scholarships to the kids that they feel that they're going to get some sort of certainty out of their staying at the school, and off we go. And then that's the way it's going to go. You can't reach out to, as you point out, to an institution that that makes the NCAA look well run.
No, I agree with that, but I think the part they'd have to get to be realistic.
Please.
So NIL is right now so tied to the transfer portal. And so I did a big story with my colleague Max Olson a couple of months ago about how much tampering goes on. And a lot of it goes on where, the body that you would be talking about, which is really the power conferences, it's all, there was one example, and there's a lot of these that go on where it is the big school basically sees somebody who maybe was on their radar, but they never offered or didn't get, or maybe they just found Pro Football Focus has all these behind the paywall database information that you could find and go, "Oh, this guy's a guy we may want to take a look at." So you pop his film on and like, this guy could help us on the offensive line. This guy could help us as defensive back. And then all of a sudden, these conversations happen. Now, some of them happen with like power school in the SEC to bottom feeder school in the SEC. And that's, that there's, the expression, there's no honor among thieves. But I think the thing that a lot of people have a big problem with is the poachings going on. And I think if you just had the power schools saying, okay, this is how we're all on the honor system. Now, they're not going to really hold to it anyway, but it's different than if you had maybe, I don't know where you draw the line, because people are still pulling guys out of FCS football.
No, and I understand that, Bruce, and you could sit here and say, holding the line. Well, yeah, if you have a smaller group of member schools and then you have a commissioner who actually will do something and sanction somebody and have teeth to it, and the schools respect that governing body, then you won't have a coach saying,
but they have that in the let's use your example of the SEC.
They have that with Sankey.
They
already?
have Greg Sankey, yet the poaching still goes on. Like we did this story, like I said, a couple of months ago. I got a call. It was left on my voicemail from a coach I know, not that well, but a coach, as an assistant coach. It was a 2-minute voicemail telling me a story of how one of their better players, not their best player, but one of their better players basically got poached, where the player came into the coach's office the day after the regular season had ended and said, I have an offer from such and such. It was for 6 figures, relatively low 6 figures, but still 6 figures. Mm-hmm. And the assistant was like, wait a minute. You think it's legit? He goes, yeah, I think it's a legit guy. He goes, well, then you should take it. Because if they're offering that kind of money and they're not going to be able to pay that, it's like, and that happened within Greg Sankey's league.
The day after the regular season.
The day after this team's regular season ended.
You're saying, so this is, I could see the look on your face over there.
But didn't Tua's brother say he was offered $1.5 million?
1.5, yeah. Look, and there's another quarterback who did transfer who I was told was offered even more than that by some SEC schools and didn't go to those SEC schools.
Hey, we all know at some point some kid is going to stay in college because he's going to make more money than what he's going to make in the first year
that's happening now because
in the NFL.
One thing, and this came up in our story as well, where you have some agents who will say, before they would go, hey, come out, like maybe you'll be a 4th round pick, you get ready, you'll go higher than people think.
Yeah.
Now these agents will tell the player, will try to get them to transfer because they know they get a much higher commission. They can get 15 or 20% of the commission of the NIL deal that player may get in the transfer portal than what they may get as an undrafted free agent or a 6th or 7th round pick. They're not getting 15 or 20% of that.
Do we know did Sam Hartman get a big deal to go from Wake Forest to Notre Dame? Do we know about that at all?
I don't think he got anywhere near as big a deal, I don't think, as he would have gotten if he went to some other schools. Now, he's definitely getting taken care of from Notre Dame's NIL
collective. So they're being called now.
Yeah, and I know they've tried to do that with a bunch of other Notre Dame athletes who were, I don't think they were transfers. I just think they're part of the program. My understanding is he probably could have gotten a lot more from some other places.
By the way, I got to shoot everyone straight here. I don't have a problem with this.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it either.
Honestly, because you point out Tommy Tuberville is just like, I'm out of here. I'm leaving in the middle.
These guys have all made fortunes off of college athletes. And I'm not saying college athletes got nothing, but they are working. I don't think the average person realizes how much time and effort is spent to do what they do.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.